scheduled meeting of the Pasco Board of Directors. You will notice that we have some new faces up on a dais, and we will be getting formal introductions to our new student reps later this evening. This meeting was preceded by our study session at 4:30, where we focused on our board goals and the board professional development that we will be attending this school year. So I encourage you to, if you didn't have a chance to attend that earlier, that you can find that on Pasco School District YouTube channel. But as for now, I will call this meeting to order. And we will start this evening with our flag salute, and our 4 new student board reps will be leading us in that.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. And without further ado, our new student board reps will be now administered their oath of office by our superintendent to begin their role on our school board.
I, Vicky Alvarez Molina,
I, Vicky Alvarez Molina,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Washington,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Washington,
and that I will faithfully perform the duties of student director of Pasco School District Number 1
and will faithfully perform the duties of student director of Pasco School District Number 1
in the county of Franklin,
in the county of Franklin,
state of Washington,
state of Washington,
according to the best of my abilities.
according to my ability.
Okay. There you go.
Do you have any family here with you tonight that wants to take a picture with you?
No, they couldn't come today.
Okay,
Okay, thank you. Awesome.
next.
I, Jessica Espinosa Chavez,
I, Jessica Espinosa Chavez,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Washington,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Washington,
and I will faithfully perform the duties of student director of Pasco School District Number 1
and I will faithfully perform the duties of student director of Pasco School District Number 1
in the county of Franklin and state of Washington,
in the county of Franklin and state of Washington,
according to the best of my abilities.
according to the best of my abilities.
I, Noe Lima Ponce,
I, Noelina Ponce,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Washington,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Washington,
and that I will faithfully perform the duties of student director of Pasco School District Number 1
and that I will faithfully perform the duties of student director of Pasco School District Number 1
in the county of Franklin, state of Washington,
in the county of Franklin, state of Washington,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Do you have any license?
Yeah.
Perfect. I, Aiden Marsco,
I, Ed Marisco,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Washington,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Washington,
and I will faithfully perform the duties of Student Director of Pasco School District Number 1
and will faithfully perform the duties of Student Director of Pasco School District Number 1
in the County of Franklin, State of Washington,
in the County of Franklin, State of Washington,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. We get our pictures taken. Will you up again with the US?
Pasco School Board of Directors. We preceded this meeting with our study session from 4:30 to 5:30 with which.
Weird.
That's what I sound like. Welcome and congratulations to our new student board representatives. This is a momentous evening because this is the first time that we have ever had 4 student board reps to represent the student body here at Bonadice, and it's especially momentous because we have a new high school opening, 2 new high schools opening up this fall, and so we do have a student from Sageview. Would you raise your hand, please? We have our student rep from Pasco High School. Our student rep from Chiawana. And Aiden is our student rep from Delta. So I want to just talk about the importance of what you just did, because all of us as elected board directors take that same oath of office after we're elected. And so you are officially now a member of the Pasco School Board of Directors, and that is an amazing thing to be. You are the voice of the students here on the board, and we take that seriously as board directors. And so we encourage you to participate and to lend your voice whenever you would like to say something. All of us up here represent Pasco, and so we want to make sure that you are able to comment and to lend your voice to whatever we are talking about. So you are welcome to do that and when you feel so inclined. The only thing you don't do that the board directors do is to vote. But we still want to hear your opinions and your comments on the things we're voting on, and that we take that into consideration as board directors. So we're excited to work with you for this next year, and just take this moment in because this is like a huge moment, and I'm so proud of all of you, and I'm really looking forward to working with all of you for the rest of the school year. All right, so as we continue on with our agenda, the next item is the approval of our minutes from the regular board meeting of June 24th, 2025. I would entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the minutes to the regular meeting that was occurred last month.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the board meeting minutes from June 24th, 2025. We will vote by voice. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next, our agenda review. Superintendent Whitney.
Board President Brown, there are no additions or changes to our agenda. I would like to call your attention to a request for an executive session under 4231-101G for reviewing the performance of a public employee.
Okay. We will go on to our special recognition this evening. We don't have a special recognition. Okay, of which we have none. So the next item on our agenda is our audience comments, the Pasco School Board of Directors values comments from the community, staff, students, and parents in the district. At this time, if you would like to, you can approach the podium and address the board. You have 2 minutes to do so, and if you do, you will see that this timer in front of Ms. Richardson will turn yellow at 1 minute, and then will turn red at 2 minutes. That means your time is up, and you need to conclude your statement. If you are online, then you can also comment, and you will just be muted after 2 minutes. There will also be the option to give a public comment after our reports, if you wish to comment after those reports. Is there anyone in the boardroom who would like to offer a public comment to the board this evening? Please approach the podium. If you could begin by stating your name and your affiliation with the district.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to introduce myself as Benton Franklin Parent Coalition, and we are doing a little too many things right now. So yeah, I just literally came to represent them, and I would love to hear any comments to take to our legislators, and so I just want to introduce myself. And somebody's supposed to be with me, but they left me alone, so yeah, shame on them. Well, thank you so much. Again, I don't know if I say my name because I'm a little nervous, but in case I didn't, Yubicela Terrones, UB for short. Thank you.
Anyone else present in the boardroom that would like to offer public comment? Mr. Garrett, do we have anyone online? I don't see Mr. Garrett tonight.
We did, but they just left. So no
Okay.
more online commenters.
Well, they will have the option after our reports. Our next item on the agenda is our consent agenda, which tonight consists of personnel, warrants, approval of highly capable students program annual plan, Sageview High School ASB Constitution, Orion High School ASB Constitution, the approval of career and technical education and 4-year plan approval, Sageview High School project construction change order number 21, and approval of conditional certificates and permits. I would entertain a motion.
Board President Brown, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. May we have a roll call, Ms. Richardson, for the vote?
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy?
Aye.
Dr. Norberg?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. The next items on our agenda are action items and extended study discussion, of which we have none this evening. So we will go to our first report, which is our Student Board Representative Introduction Presentation. Superintendent Whitney.
Board President Brown, it's truly an honor to be before you this evening to do what is now our traditional annually Student Board Representative Introduction PowerPoint. So it is my joy, pleasure, and honor to introduce to you Vicki Alvarez Molina. This is her when she was a little girl. Isn't that adorable? We should all, ooh, ah, look at So Vicki, yeah, thank you, I appreciate it. Vicki attended Franklin STEM Elementary, Ray Reynolds Middle School, Pasco High School, and is a junior at Sageview High School, so truly a historic occasion for us to not only have 4 student board representatives, but 1 representing our newest school on the roll call. Her extracurricular activities include volunteering at the Arc of Tri-Cities, and she plays the violin in our orchestra. As part of the interview process, all students are asked who their role model is, and Vicki answered that question by saying her role model is her mom. I had the opportunity to meet her mom and little sister, and I can certainly see why Vicki's mom is her role model. She's and this is what Vicki says about her mom. She has motivated me in my life and in her work. She's honest and sticks to her goals that she has. That motivates me to achieve my dream and become resilient and dedicated to my goals. Vicki's education and career goals are to attend an Ivy League university or study abroad to pursue a business degree and a master's in economics or marketing. And I would like to introduce to you Jessica Espinosa Chavez. I would recognize that little face just anywhere. You look exactly the same as you did in this picture, except you're just taller now. So Jessica attended Captain Gray and Rowena Chess Elementary School, Stevens Middle School, and is a senior at Pasco High School. Her extracurricular activities include PHS's drama program. She's a National Honor Society, craft club, a natural helper, and outside of school, she's also part of the Trio Upward Brown program in the Tri-Cities. Her role model is also her mom. She says she is the strongest person ever, and even when times get tough, she is resilient and always finds a way to prevail. And I had the opportunity to meet Jessica's mom last week, and I can absolutely see those qualities in her. I also got to meet your sister, was here too. Jessica's education and career goals are to attend a four-year university majoring in psychology and pursuing a master's degree with the end goal of becoming a therapist. And here's Noe Lima Ponce. Noe attended Maya Angelou Elementary, Ray Reynolds Middle School, and is now a senior at Chihuahua High School. His extracurricular activities include speech and debate team, Gear Up Ambassador Program, FCCLA, the Columbia Basin College Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council, and the Columbia Basin College's mentor student leader. His role model are both of his parents. It's almost impossible for me to decide on one parent being my role model, since both of my parents have simultaneously done so much and have been such an amazing example of what parents should be. While my mom shows her love through her words and care for people, especially her students, my dad does so through his hard work and determination. I strive to be just as loving and caring as they are. Noe's education and career goals include obtaining a bachelor's degree in education, communities and organizations with a concentration on multilingual learners. He'd like to get his master's in teaching to begin teaching elementary school for the Pasco School District before he works his way up to school administration and then hopefully goes into the district level leadership after obtaining his ED in educational leadership. And I have every confidence that if Noe wants my job one day, he will have it. So. I'd also, just that picture, Aiden, I love it so much. Aiden Marscal is our student board representative who attended Catherine Dunn Elementary before joining Pasco School District at Ray Reynolds Middle School and is a senior at Delta High School. His extracurricular activities include speech and debate team, Delta Ambassador Club, and National Honor Society. His role model is also his mom. My biggest role model is my mom. She's always been there, even when life was difficult, and through it all, she's never gave up on me. Still helped me when she could and has always supported me. Aiden's education career goals are to join the military and become a commercial electrician or a teacher. So it is just my joy, pleasure, and honor to present to you the 4 student board representatives for Pasco School District this year. If we could give them a round of applause, I would appreciate it. This year, we had 46 student board rep applications, and we interview every student who applies. This is my 10th year at least, if not more, maybe 12th year in helping to interview student board representatives, and I have to tell you, this was the most competitive applicant pool we've had. I am extraordinarily grateful I'm already employed and don't have to compete against any of the young people that we interviewed for employment. Our future is in great hands. These students were in a very competitive pool and were chosen to represent their respective schools in our district. And so it's just going to be a great honor to get to know you better, and we'll work alongside of you this year in service to this just amazing community. So congratulations.
Superintendent Whitney, as you prepare to present your next report, it occurred to me that I neglected the roll call.
Oh, shoot.
So I was so engrossed in the swearing in of our new board members that we didn't do the roll call. Mr. Richardson, may we have a roll call, please?
Amanda Brown.
Present.
Michelle Kennedy.
Present.
Steve Norbert.
Present.
Amy Phillips.
Present.
Steve Simmons.
Present.
Vicky Alvarez. Present. Jessica Espinoza Chavez.
Present.
Nadia Ponce.
Present.
Eden Mariscal.
Present.
Thank you, new student board reps, for bearing with me. That is not usually how we do things. So usually we have the flag salute and the roll call comes right after that, but I got thrown off because I was so excited to swear you all in and then just
I should have
ran.
told you too.
Well, that is my job, not yours. So, Thank you for allowing me to make that right. We are ready for our next report.
Did you want me to do that one again after the roll call? I'm happy to. No, I'm just kidding. So the next report this evening is, again, kind of an annual tradition for us as a board superintendent team. This one, however, focuses on your opportunity as a school board to decide whether or not you want to apply for the WASDA School Board of Distinction. This is a recognition program sponsored through your professional organization or WASDA that gives boards the opportunity to, on an annual interview interval, self-reflect on your own performance as a board up against the Washington State School Board standards. By applying, you qualify for some layered recognition. Boards with the highest ratings in their application are named Board of the Year. Boards whose applications meet the Washington State School Board standards are awarded Board of Distinction. And for boards who have had 5 boards of distinction, they are awarded a special merit award. So over time, Pasco School District's boards have actually been honored in each of these 3 categories over the course of the years that I've been superintendent. This year, the application is, those of you who've done this before will recognize that the application this year is different than it has been in the past. So I just outlined here the sections. The first section is pretty straightforward. It's just district information, contact information for board president and myself. The second section has to do with board governance. It just is really simply a yes or no. Have you evaluated your superintendent, yes or no? Or when was the last superintendent evaluation you've done? When was your last board self-assessment? And do you have a current district strategic improvement plan? So they're literally just yes or no. Really the meat of the application comes in section 3 and 4. Section 3 asks the board in 1,700 characters or less to describe a professional development activity that the board has participated in and how that has helped you as a board govern well. And then the meatiest part of the application is really section 4 that's about success and evidence. Typically there's like 1 or 2 essays that you write. This year that's not the case. There's like 5 different questions that you would answer. One around describing an action or actions that have been taken in the last 5 years to close the opportunity gap. WASDA has changed the application focus in the last couple of years. It used to be you could only talk about things you did within a year's scope. Now they're recognizing that the work of educating students isn't done in a year, that it actually is a longer term commitment. And so they've allowed boards to take a longer look at your success and evidence. It asks you to articulate the success of the action or actions and then to reflect on lessons learned and how those lessons might inform future practices, planning and goal setting for the board. It asks to focus on alignment with the Washington State School Board standards, and then finally to differentiate the board's work versus the work of the superintendent and district staff that led to the action success. The application is open now. It closes at midnight on September 8th, so that is the application window. After you apply, those applications are reviewed by a panel of judges that includes former and current educational service district superintendents, State Board of Education board members, former school directors, and other education leaders across the state. The scoring is based on how well your application is aligned with the Washington School Board standards, supports your statements with data, and demonstrates a link between the outcome and decisions made by the board. All successful applicants will be named School Board of Distinction. I want to be really clear that not everyone that applies is awarded a School Board of Distinction. If the application does not align with the Washington State School Board standards, the application is not designated as a Board of Distinction. And then within this categories of small, medium, and large school districts, a board that demonstrates exemplary action and outcomes may also be honored as Board of the Year. So this is your opportunity as a board to discuss whether or not you would like to apply this year and kind of make some plans for doing that should you choose.
So this is something that we have done, and it precedes my time on the board, and the board has, Director Phillips, the board has received the what is
Yes.
it called?
We have been Board of the Year.
Board of the Year, yes. And we have been a board of distinction as far back as I have been attending board meetings and on the board. I would like to apply, and usually it's been the president and/or president with the help of the vice president that writes this application, but that's not what it has to be. We can't have more than 2 board members working on it at once, but Director Phillips and I have had the opportunity to talk about the past. We wrote the application together 2 years ago, and then Director Simmons last year wrote one of the parts, I believe the professional development part last year, and I wrote the bigger section, the section 4 last year. And then, but Director Phillips was kind enough to review my writing, and I really felt that we had a strong submission last year, and I was able to go over with Director Phillips some of where I feel like we could even improve more in incorporating a lot of just the story of Pasco. I'm a very much a data-driven person, so it's just data, but it doesn't really come across as capturing the essence of what we do here in Pasco, of just stating the data. And so I'd like to try to submit something in section 4 that really talks about the work that we do that's beyond data, that how we affect positive change in students' lives. That's my take on it this year. So is there anyone else who would be interested in participating in that? Board directors?
It hasn't been typically just the presidency, by the way. The president always reviews, the president and the superintendent usually review what was said, but sometimes it's just 2 board members. I believe I wrote it the year that, no, I know I wrote it the year that we won with the help of Superintendent Whitney. And so I would just like to make sure all the board members know they're all, if they would like to help write this, they are, anybody who wants to can. And yes, it's a great experience. It really helps you know things. We get a lot of help from district staff because we see a vision and they find all of the data that backs it up. So.
Thank you for that clarification.
I would like to help write it, like I did last year. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind helping too, and I think we could have more than one person. We can't all collaborate together at once, but this is my last few months on the board, and I would love to have an opportunity to help write it as well.
Okay.
In the past, we've had like 3 or 4 sections, so that was easier to distribute throughout different board members. So I don't know if we can, have someone write the first thing and have others write different points for that 250 words per point section.
Yeah, it's interesting that there's so much more verbiage in the board professional development than it is in the success and evidence.
Except one's 1,700 characters and one is 250 words per section.
Right.
So it's actually quite a bit more in that second section.
Still not a lot, though.
It's not a lot.
I think a good thing to talk about in the board professional development would be our work on the superintendent evaluation this year with Dr. Alsbury, and how we worked to really incorporate student success criteria in the superintendent evaluation and work together, and considering that he's also our board governance consultant, and that we work together to create a superintendent evaluation that we all felt was more effective.
I would also put out there, that's only this year, and this is the first year they have ever allowed us to go back 5 years. And we have done, I know we talked about our dual language program in last year's, but we have an incredible
we've done incredible things that no one else in the state of Washington has done with our dual language in this district, and I would love to focus on that. What do you have any recommendations
I
of
do,
what you
actually.
think we should focus on?
I was ready because I knew you were going to ask me. I recently had the opportunity to sit down with district staff and look at some, you as a board had given us some feedback around the data we've been using to report to you around our board progress monitoring reports. And so there was a team of people who've been working on that data. And Mark did a really pretty incredible analysis of the probability of students to graduate in Pasco based on the number of credits that students earn in 9th grade. And you know, there's some robust data out there that says if kids are not on track at the end of 9th grade, that they're like 40 to 60% more likely to drop out. That is not what our data is showing. Certainly, we want our kids to be on track for graduation, but we're fairly confident in the data we've looked at preliminarily that we're breaking the odds there, that even if students aren't on track, there's still a high probability that they'll graduate depending on how many credits they have. So it might be a nice data frame to tell the story, and I think we could even identify individual students who have been helped through that trajectory to talk about how our system supports students. It might be a really interesting way to go at that question.
We could bring in dual language then, the dual language program. We could also bring in our, that might be a more broad way to show things that we've done. We could also bring in the dual language and our ARC, our reading program that has increased the score so much in the last little bit. Yeah, I like that idea. And I like following.
I think there's a lot of ways that you could layer in stories about how that happens.
Yeah.
You know, how do you take a student who has 4 credits in 9th grade and still graduate them? You know, when the data is showing if students aren't on track, that student should have been 60 times more likely or 60% more likely to drop out. That's not happening. And so I think there's a lot to unpack there around how we make that happen. So we were excited about the data, about that data visualization, and just really grateful for Mark. He's going to do some additional kind of analysis and kind of layer, you know, statewide or national data on top of that to take a deeper look at it, but we're really excited about continuing to drill down.
I like that idea.
I think we should go ahead and apply, and I think you got a great topic there.
Okay, so Director Norberg, Director Kennedy, I don't want to take away the opportunity from you if you wanted to contribute to this in some way.
I'm happy to look at drafts and do some editing.
You know, I think you guys can probably handle this when I don't really need to. I mean, if you want me to take a look at it, I'd be happy to take a look at it.
Okay. I look forward to hearing from you and when we can get together and talk about specifics. All right, we've had 2 pretty positive reports, and I am happy about that. Next, we go on to, let me find my agenda. Our report on the 2025-2026 budget presentation. Dr. Casilleja.
Another positive report.
Right.
Yes. No, we're staying positive. No, thank you for having me. Board of Directors, Superintendent Whitney, and Board Chair Amanda Brown. I'm Joey Castilla. Happy to be here first time in my official capacity as your Director of Fiscal Services. So yes, so we're going to go through the budget, and what's kind of neat about this is it's probably not going to be new to any of you. We've been talking about this for quite a while, and incorporating all those conversations and study sessions into this. Just coming from the beginning, this is a puzzle. Just like the rest of the state and really nation, we're grappling with some funding challenges that honestly are just really outside of the control of the local school districts. And we're sort of left standing here with trying to solve those challenges. And what is kind of lucky for the whole world is it's about our kids, and we will solve problems when it's about our kids, right? So that's where we are. So what you're looking at today is kind of the official number 3 planning process presentation. And these are really the preliminary numbers showing you the revenues and expenditures that are planned for our budget that will actually appear on your official budget hearing that will happen at our next meeting on August 12th. So you get to see this kind of in its entirety before it actually hits the ground. So the purpose is to update the board on the budgeting process for 25-26. We've been jumping back and forth between 24-25, 25-26. We are officially into the next year. We are to provide an update on projected revenues and expenditures prior to the final budget hearing. Also, this is kind of the curveball, so to speak. This is new, but I'm also going to inform the board of some federal funding cuts that recently were announced by OSPI Superintendent Rechtel that have some pretty significant impacts on our district as well as many districts across the nation. And I'm going to map out the next steps in the budgeting process. So the roles in the budget, I like to revisit this whenever possible. One of the key pieces to the role of the school board is to approve and monitor the budget. So when we do that, it causes us to have some legal compliance. It really functions as the banks of the stream when it comes to our actions of accepting money and spending it. It also functions as a way for us to have internal controls over our spending, and it really is our financial plan. It's a game plan. We set our plans and we do our best to try and hit those targets and do our best to have good outcomes there. The role of the board is to approve expenditure authority for all 5 funds, and I'll go over what those 5 funds are, and approve financial needs. And for us, that one of those big areas is bonds and levies, which we'll be talking about as we head into the months ahead. The role of district staff, we execute the will of the board, right? So district staff executes building a balanced budget based on past performance, future needs, legislation, and in accordance with the direction of the board. So all of those kinds of things are incorporated into this. It's our job to sense the direction. So in this budget, I want to go over kind of a list of things that are, I want you to know were incorporated into the plan. Hopefully we've thought of all of them. As you're looking at the plan, you'll be saying to yourself, well, we talked about this. Is that in this? And so I'm going to try and make sure you know what those assumptions are. So first of all, the special focus on the budget cycle. We are working very hard to set an efficient yet realistic budget, being mindful of cost escalation and our collective bargaining agreements. Budgeting for conservative enrollment. We know that we've been in super high growth. I saw a newspaper article from the past. They called Pasco Boomtown at one point. And now that's not the same case now. So it's a different game for us. So we had to pull back on enrollment really kind of for the first time, where we're going to budget for fewer students than we had the prior year. And then capturing staffing attrition to address budget deficit and loss of federal funding. With the slowdown of students, student growth, the need is different. So we have to match the need, the service that we provide to the need. And that's an ongoing thing that you do year to year. The other assumption here is this budget is in service of ongoing revenues to cover our ongoing expenditures. So there's a lot of data study that goes on to this. We looked years back, last year to this year, things of that nature. There really aren't any new things that we're funding aside from 2 new high schools. So we did consider those as pieces that we needed to cover. Another assumption is, this has been a conversation we've been having, but the fund balance management is a big piece to it. And we are set to retain board-directed 2.5 reserve of special purpose and our special purpose assignments. So you guys remember that we've had a history of retaining 5% plus our special purpose assignments. And in this last year, we actually did a budget extension and reduced that to 2.5. This budget also does the same thing. So the goal is for that to be a temporary fund balance change, but this one is built around 2.5%. And we are looking to reshape the budget through staff attrition over the next 3 to 5 budget cycles. So That's something that's going to be fluid and reviewed, you know, we'll review it the first week of September as we look at, you know, the enrollment numbers as they settle in, and then October, and then the counts over the year. January is a big one because that's kind of that halfway point. As we watch the enrollment settle in, we will compare that to our staffing and report back on how that's going. Another assumption here is that IPD is the implicit price deflator. Basically, it's kind of a cost of living sort of number, and the state legislature sets those amounts, and they set salary funding at 2.5% for the 25-26 school years, and they set the IPD rate for MSOCs, which is the materials operating costs, at 2.8. Now, I want to make sure that I'm clear too. When they say 2.5% increase to salaries, that's 2.5% increase to salaries of funded full-time teacher slots. So if we are funded for, I'm just going to use a round number, say we're funded for 1,000 teachers, we'll get 2.5% on 1,000 teacher salaries. But if we have 1,200, those other 200 will have to be absorbed in this, and that is considered in this as well. Does that make sense? So I see some nods, so I think you guys are following. Another thing that's assumed in this budget is we are optimizing the K3 class size ratio by keeping a class size ratio of 17:1. In kinder through third grade, we actually receive additional funds for that, and that's a pretty important thing for us, and so we maintain that. Plus, it's the right thing to do to keep those grades, those primary grades, manageable. Enrollment is declining. We've been talking about that. So we built the budget using an enrollment figure lower than this year's average annual student enrollment. We are actually funded, the way it works, the year starts and we're funded September through December as we state our enrollment will be. Then by January, we have an average enrollment number that's based off of actual enrollment. And the state then adjusts the apportionment either up or down from January through August. So that's kind of how this works. So what happened in 24-25, we budgeted for 17,663 full-time enrollments. Even though we have more students by head count, that's the number of students based off of minutes and in seats at school, 17,663. That is probably the most important number in a budget. That's how we set our apportionment with the state. That's how we budgeted. The actual average enrollment came in at 17,598. So we're just a little bit under, but that's a significant amount of money. And so looking at that and considering a few years prior to that, we are suggesting that this budget be built for 17,400. So that's how these numbers fell into place. The other thing that I want you to know is worked into this is interest earned on our deposits will decrease due to carrying a smaller fund balance over the year. There's a few reasons for that. Now, whenever we have money that's sitting, we shift it into an investment account, and we collect pretty nice interest on that, and then when we go to pay the bills, we shift it back. We are carrying a smaller fund balance. The other thing is we're starting to pay down some of our balances, such as our bond dollars. We just built some high schools, so we spent a lot of that money, so there will be less dollars sitting and earning interest. So that was all considered in this plan. Key areas of the budget were also increased to cover actual cost due to escalation, or to cost escalations. When you are working on a budget and you want it to work, it's not just about cut. You also have to look at the reality of what things really cost. Everyone's gone to the gas pump and paid for gas by the gallon. It just is what it is. So some key areas, as an example, and I put these on there because they're pretty big, but we do have increases when it comes to salaries, benefits, utilities, maintenance, and fuel, just to give you a few. So we tried to do our best to make sure we are being realistic about what it's really going to cost. You can't run a school on a shoestring. Now, the impacts of federal funding. This was a new piece since we last seen each other. Just around the 4th of July week, we we got to hear from our state superintendent, and there is some news around federal dollars. So in July 2025, Superintendent Rechtel informed district staff that a number of federal grants that we are accustomed to receiving will most likely be cut at the start of the federal government's fiscal year, which is October 1st. The thing that's different about this is we've been bracing ourselves for federal cuts for a long time, and we've known that there's a high possibility that that's going to happen, but we didn't have any indication that it was going to happen in July. Usually these things happen, okay, spend out your year, you finish your school year, and then plan for the cuts. This time we're in July, and what's big about that is we've already contracted our staff, we've already ordered our books, we've already done all the things to set up for the next school year, so we're committed. And now kind of in a lot of ways the carpet's been pulled out from under us. We're still left standing having to pay for those things, and the funding is going to go away October 1st. So that's kind of, for me, it isn't just the cuts that's hard, it's the timing of the cuts. So I want to point that out, and that's considered in this plan as well. If you're curious about what they are, Title I Part C, which is migrant money, that's a pretty big one, almost $1.5 million. And the thing to know, we still will have migrant students and we still have services to provide, both because it's the right thing to do and because it actually is an obligation of us to do. Title II is part of the federal legislation that supports effective classroom instruction. So it's a lot of professional development for teachers and principals and administrators. So that's Title II, just over $500,000 there. Title III, English language learners. We have many students learning to speak English in our district, and we will lose $855,000 there. Title IV, Part A, has a couple pieces to it, but it's supplemental learning and before and after school programs. So some things we might be doing over summer. There's some STEM support in there. A lot of it really enrichment kinds of things that are really important and our kids get a lot out of. We will still do our best to provide a lot of those things, but we're going to lose just under $500,000 there. Title IV Part B, which is Stronger Connections, that's $563,000. That's the home school connection, community connection. And so that comes out to just shy of $4 million. And that we are going to have to grapple with. We have worked that into this plan. We will have to move staff into other categories, change some things around. Some programs are going to look different, but at this point in July, we had to do what we had to do to figure out how to make it work. So, but that's what that looks like. By the way, also when I talk about those items, we do have the capacity for these built into the budget. I don't want to get too complicated about it, but if these were to happen, any of these were to happen to be brought back into play, the capacities in the budget so that we wouldn't have to come back and do a budget extension every time something happens. So the budget. Let's talk about that. So it's really just about what are we going to bring in and what are we going to spend out. So in, out. And that's a tricky thing when you're talking about, if you think about it, we're basically a $340 million company with, a couple thousand employees, 19,000 students. So we're a pretty big operation. So it's quite a process to go through. So the 5 designated funds, these are the biggies for a school board. You have a general fund, a capital projects fund, a debt service fund, an ASB fund, and a transportation fund. So a little bit about what those are. The general fund, that's the big pot of money. That's how we pay our teachers. It's how we buy materials. It's how we turn on the lights. It's how we do all of the regular operations. It makes up the bulk of the work that we do. Capital projects fund, that is our construction, our major construction pieces. So there's a lot of money that's moved through that because we've had high support from the local tax base and we've been funded to build 2 high schools. I want to say we've run not quite, but pretty darn close to $200 million through our system in capital projects with some yet to spend, but that's what that fund is. The debt service fund. We have a bond, which is like government speak for our mortgage. You know, we've basically borrowed money from the market to build those buildings, and we will pay that back over time through tax redemption. And so the debt service fund is how that money comes and goes. The Associated Student Body Fund, that is the students' money. The students raise that money. The students get to control how that money is spent, and we manage the compliance with that to help bring it in and out. You will approve that one. And then the Transportation Vehicle Fund, I wish it was called the Yellow Bus Fund because it really can only buy buses. It's not for vans and things like that. It's for from school, from home to school transportation. And our system in our state's actually, this is one area where it's actually pretty cool. You go to any district and you'll see nice, modern, compliant buses that are safe for our kids. That fund is how we manage that. So I'm not going to go through all of the lines unless you stop me and say, hey, tell me more about this. But there's a couple of slides here to show you. This one right here basically shows in the big areas where money or where the revenue or expenditure was decreased or increased. So even though we're in a deficit year, we did actually bring more money in. That's just how it works. Revenue increase is on the left, so that's the income. The state apportionment includes all of those areas that are sort of indented in here. So we'll see an increase of about 2.8 million there. Our levy did increase. Our special education increased, bilingual. Our learning assistance program, which is a state funded grant. Food service, transportation, and our levy equalization, which is additional dollars that we get from the state because we have a levy. All of those had nice increases, which were super helpful there. And really, in a lot of ways, just sort of kept up with the actual rising costs of things. In the parentheses, we've got some negative numbers. These represent those federal funds that we were talking about earlier, so you can sort of see what happens there. When we get over here to the expenditure increases or decreases, they were just increases. So you can see some basic ed costs that were around classified and certificated salaries, benefits. Because there's a step progression, it's kind of confusing because we've gone down in staffing this year, but our staff mostly stayed, and because of how it works, they're here another year, so they have another year experience, so they move over on the salary schedule, and then a lot of them take credits or get degrees, so then they get to slide from the top right to the bottom, or top left to the bottom right, so the costs go up. So that's why that happens, and that's all considered in this. Materials, operating costs, 7.1 million there. Special education has additional costs, learning assistance. Transportation, you can see, went up not quite $1 million there, and then food service had some increases. So the general fund. So we'll go through each fund now.
Can I go back?
Yes, you can.
That BEA, materials, supplies, and operating costs, that's $7 million. That's a huge amount.
Yes.
So can you explain a little bit more of what that is?
One of the biggest reason why it's so big is we were drastically under budgeted in some key areas. So utilities, we under budgeted about $1 million last year, so we needed to increase there. Plus, remember, you have 2 new high schools, so there's additional utilities costs, so that was all in there. Fuel, the cost of fuel went up, so we had to account for that. So, insurances, Washington State school districts are experiencing high insurance increases.
Does that go into materials, supplies, and operating costs?
So the 7.1?
Yes.
Yeah, all the MSOCs. Yep, that's the collective of all of it.
So insurance is in there as well?
Yes, insurance is an MSOC. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, and insurance is a funny one too. People always want to say, well, insurance went up. Does that mean we have too many claims? No, it has nothing to do with that. We're in one of the states that happens to not have a statute of limitations on certain abuse cases, and so insurance companies are just hesitant about our state and a couple others. So we're, there's some things in there we've tried to take in the context of everything and be realistic about it, and not undershoot ourselves a little bit. So there's a little bit of a correction there to try and get things back on track to what it really does cost to run a school district. Okay, so we'll go through each fund here. So here's the general fund. This is the majority of your budget. So your beginning fund balance, when we hit a 9/1, we're estimated at 16.2 million. We haven't done the closeout yet for 24-25, but that's where we're looking at. And the estimated fund balance 1 year later is 12.2 million. So you can see that the fund balance does decrease in this year. Revenues, you can see the total revenues will be, when you add them all up, come out to 339 million. And the expenditures will come out to 343.2 million. That takes into consideration, you can kind of see I broke out payroll, non-payroll, and then the grant contingency that you see there, that's the contingency for those grants that we have told are going to be cut, haven't officially been cut yet, but so basically they're in there as a wash. If we don't get them, we don't spend it. If we do get them, the capacity is built in. So you can kind of see what that looks like. So that's the general fund. The capital fund. So this is how we build high schools and things like that. So the beginning balance this year will be $65.5 million. And we estimate that we will end at 52 million. We do have more construction to do. Just because we get into our new high schools, we're going to still be having costs around finishing those up, wrapping those projects out. So there's some expenses there. And then we get to go to Pasco High and some other schools and get to do some really cool improvements over there. So a lot of those are tied to the bond. So we do have some more spending to do. And as we spend, we will be able to continue to collect we always people know it as the state match. It's not really a dollar for dollar match. It's the State Construction Assistance Program. They call it SCAP. So we will continue to receive that along the way. The 2023 bond projects, finish Sageview, finish Orion High School. There is probably some land that we're going to need to purchase to kind of future-proof ourselves there. Also in that bond, we had some CTE projects that we were going to take on, and also some athletic improvements. One in particular, I know softball at the Pasco High campus. So you'll see some action going on there. And then there's some other miscellaneous projects. There is money in the capital projects fund that isn't part of the bond, that's kind of old carryover from old bonds, or just money that we had in the fund already. So those will be used for other miscellaneous projects. And then, of course, we keep contingency plant money in there in case we have an HVAC system go out or a water heater or something like that, so we don't go without. So total expenditures, we were expecting 39.1 million in that fund balance, or in that budget category. The Associated Student Body Fund. This is one of our healthy areas as well. The students are doing very well. They will start the year with $2.1 million, and they have a lot of things they do. They collect gate, athletic events, they go to camp. There's a lot of money going in and out. So you can see total revenues are budgeted to be around 8.3 million, and then you have your expenditures at about 8.1 million, and so we expect the fund balance actually to grow in ASB, so they'll end at about 2.3 million. So that's a shining spot there. The debt service fund, this one's one of those categories that's not really that fun, but it's very important to know we have. We will begin with about 10.9 million, and this is where the taxes land when we collect property tax for our bond. So they land here, we collect interest on that, and then we basically pay the interest and principal payments on our bonds over time. So we will collect about $32 million, and then we will spend out just under $32 million on expenditures. So it's not uncommon for this to kind of be, once the money comes in, we want to pay the debt back. So we look like we will end around 11 million in that category. And then the Yellow Bus Fund. So this one is, this fund is actually kind of cool. It is funded through depreciation. So when we buy a school bus, it has a life, and the first month that school bus is in service, we receive a little payment for its depreciation and use. And the older it gets, the bigger the payments get. So that's the idea, to keep your buses maintained and used for the full life. We have a really good program going there. I was looking today, we have about 100, just under 120 buses in our fleet. I think the oldest ones are around 2012. So, and I want to say there's 6 of those. So right now we have 6 of them that this year fell off of depreciation. So the idea is we will use this fund to retire those and bring some in. Right now we have I want to say there's 8 school buses on order, and they take about a year to get. So we'll have built capacity in here to replace some buses. So we will start, we will bring in the revenues you can see there. Total revenues at 1.6 million, so that'll go add to our 3.9, and then we'll buy some buses. So right now we're preparing to purchase as many as 15, possibly a couple extra there, with total expenditures being 3.6 million. So we should end just under 2 million in that fund. This is another slide that I apologize in advance, because you'll see it again at the hearing, because it's a required one. One of the things that we must disclose in our budgeting process is the amount of general education and lab science materials, both the funding and the expenditures that we put around that. So you can see at the bottom there, the budget for general education and lab science. The MSOC proposed expenditures is 30 million. The proposed apportionment that will be applied to that from the state is 26.5 million, and the expenditures over apportionment. So we will actually go 3.6 over. And the way we do that is a lot of different areas. We have what I like to call other people's money, grants and support, both local, state, and federal. And when I say local, that could be LEA, and that could be levy dollars as well. So that's why we're able to do those great things for kids in the classrooms. This one right here is also another required slide. After McCleary, we didn't have to do this for years and years and years, and then after the McCleary decision, there was a new rule that we had to do a 4-year projection of our funds. And my guess is because after McCleary hit, the legislature knew that we needed to track this and that we were possibly heading for some harder times in the future. We wanted to get ahead of it. So here it is. So what this is a 4-year projection. It starts with 25-26, which are the numbers that you just saw, and you can see what it does from 3 more years into the future. Now, some things that I want to say here, and I kind of like doing this because I can think over the times I've seen this slide presented to me in other districts, no one really explained to me where these numbers came from. So I want to tell you what this works off of. And it's kind of personal to us because we've been working on this for a while. So this does assume flat enrollment at 17.4. To keep it simple, we just left it flat. You can see in 25-26, our fund balance will dip a little bit. This assumes that from year to year, we will see an increase in revenue and an increase in expenditures of 3%. We use 3% because that's pretty common around where IPD tends to land. This also assumes that we are going to reduce $5 million in staffing in 26-27 as we move into 26-27, and then reducing $3 million in staffing into 27-28 and then 28-29. That's the attrition conversation that we've been having. If you think about that, you have the 5, the 3, and the cuts that we just made this year through attrition. If you think back to around April, May, you might remember me saying, in today's dollars, if we were $15 million less in expenditures, we would be okay. that's kind of where that adds up to. We're just spreading it out over the years. So you can see in 25, 26, the fund balance goes from 16 million to 12.2. Then we start 26, 27. I'll put my slider here so you can see where my eyeballs are going. But we start here, we end here. 26, 27, we build a budget starting here. And then through the changes, we turn around a little bit. We start going back up. And then into 27, 28, we start with 13 million. Now we're up to 16.8. And then 29, 28, 29, we start 16 and we end at 23. So I don't want you to mistake this for me saying all's good and this is going to be easy. It's going to be a lot of hard work. But this is the direction we're going with this. Try to use as conservative outlook as we can here. If attrition happens faster, we could possibly move quicker into this. If attrition slows down drastically, we might have to have other conversations around what that looks like for us. So,
What was the beginning fund balance at the beginning of this school year, this last school year?
about 24 million. Yep. So you're basically at 28, 29. We're looking at having a game plan that's going to get us back to where we started.
Was the 28, 29, was that when we were going back to the 5%? Is that?
Right, yep. So once you have a fund balance around 23, 24 million, we'll be pretty close to being comfortable with being back to the 5%. So my hope is that we can monitor this and work through it really month to month to find ways to get more and more efficient, be smarter with bringing revenue in, being smarter with how we spend so that we can make this happen faster. That's really the goal. Because we would like to get to the point where we actually have a fund balance higher than 5%, because really the goal is the state would like to see us have 60 days cash on hand, which I don't really know of many schools around that have that. There's very few. There are some, but not very many. And that's actually quite a bit more than even 5%. So, but as we've seen, things can change and you need to make sure solvency is built in. So that's what the outlook looks like.
So how can we be sure that the same thing that happened this year when it happened with like the IPD, that's all been factored in already and the assumed attrition? Because I believe you said it's like a wash this year basically with the attrition, but then, or maybe that we're spending more than we had planned even because of the IPD increase and the bargain salaries for teachers. And so I know that the last CBA it was for 3 years, right? And so we have those bargain salaries for the next 3 years.
Yep.
So these attrition rates are just based on the rates that we've seen over the past few years that we can assume will continue? Right,
yes. So, yes, and it really is, it's a number that we came up with that I wish, one of you asked me not too long ago, how many people is that? And I'm hesitant to say it's this many of that category because there's not an easy way to answer that because every teacher, every classified staff, every administrator costs something different. So if you have a whole bunch of retirements, 5 retirements are worth more than 10 brand new teachers, that just came into the career. So we like to think of it in terms of total dollar figure when we can. So that 5 million mark is the goal for the next time around. And it's a bit of a lofty goal. I do worry a little bit about whether we can reach it easily or not. But if we don't, then we just have to adjust forward from there. So, but we have room to talk about it and room to think about it as we move through this. So, yes.
We visited yesterday, and just my general take and my suggestion is to look at, instead of a 5% in 26, 27, to put a 10, not a 5%, but 10 million rather than 5 million. If we're short $15 million, and we want to get out of spending money that we don't have, the sooner that we can get that done, probably the better off we are. And we'd hope that we didn't have any more cuts and that attrition could do it. But my concern is that we need to start the process for 26, 27 for $10 million is my suggestion.
Yeah, planning to carve 10 million out would drastically accelerate this, like real fast.
'Cause one of the other concerns I have is that you have the enrollment staying the same, and right now, we're projecting things to decrease over time.
Yep. Yep.
And then we don't know what other federal cuts are going to come. We don't know many different things that could come in here, and I'm just concerned that if we just hang on to this for too long, we could find ourselves in a much worse spot.
Yep, it's a very delicate balance. You're exactly right. My opinion of this in July of 2025, after spending the months of analyzing and whatnot, this is really kind of the minimum of the work we need to do to get to where we need to go. So if we do find a way to accelerate some attrition or have other cuts or have new revenue sources, any of those things could impact this as well. So, but yeah.
So when you came to us a few months ago, you said we were about 8 million, I believe, in debt, and now, or lower than last year. It looks like now we're about 12 million. Is that correct?
No. That 12 million is the amount left over after.
I know that's the amount left over, but if we started out with 24 and now we have 12, to me that's about 12 million.
Yeah, over the 2 years, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. So are we using some of the reserves for regular operating costs then? Because we are still going to keep the 2.5% right now. We're still reserving that? We are not changing that?
We're not changing the 2.5% or the assigned, special purpose assigned accounts.
Have we ever talked about going back to teachers and that percent over the IPD that was given them, renegotiated that? Has that ever come into a possibility of helping some of this?
Right. So there hasn't been negotiations happen around this. That's one of the ideas of many ideas that floats around as we're talking through this, how we would get to this. So really anything and everything is on the table at this point as we move into the next year. Because it really, the bills will come in, we'll prepare the warrants, we'll pay them, we'll reassess what did that look like, how are we doing, what's the percentage of each funding category as it's being spent, and going through that process. But we do need to make sure that we keep all the possibilities open to us, and look at those carefully as we move through. So, but this next year will be the hardest one. We need to take the biggest bite out of it we can. And the reason why the effort's being put into this is, we talked about this quite a bit at length in different combinations of people, and the decision was to do our best to make this happen through attrition and to maintain programs for kids the best we possibly can. The only real way to take a big giant bite and correct it all in one swoop would be to go through layoffs. So, and there's districts that are doing that all over the place right now. It's something that is on our minds that, gosh, if we ever had to do that, but it's a possibility. But this plan is built around the idea that we are doing our best to try and not have to go down that route. So.
No, and I'd rather go back and renegotiate than lay off at this point.
Yep. Yes,
that's my opinion.
That's a real good way to put it. Yep. Yeah, I mean, if we get to that point, that could be something that employee services and cabinet would have to talk about.
And we might have to do layoffs. But if we can naturally do it through attrition, I think that's better for families and better for our community. And but yeah, there's a lot. There is a lot here. This is a really important year, and the community is going to be watching us.
Yep.
And I think it's critical that we keep up morale through this. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how to do that, but the last thing on earth I want to see is our student scores to go down. Mm-hmm. So it is critical that even through these cuts, we keep up morale and we keep up high expectations of these kids, because just because we are doing some of these budget cuts doesn't mean our kids cannot perform at higher levels. So I want to see our kids still flourish and I'm impressed that you're working so hard to make these cuts away from kids, and I realize they are cutting into kids' programs now. But I hope that's a part of staff meetings, that we keep up staff and student morale.
Right. Absolutely. And I appreciate both of you, and I think it's probably goes for all of you that you sense the urgency in this and what this really means. We are taking a big giant swing at making this work, and we have a plan and a direction, and we're going to move forward with it. And it's going to be tough. Like, this next round is going to be tough. So we have to stick to it, and we have to keep all the possibilities in front of us. So.
Dr. Castillo, I believe you have one more slide.
Yes, I do. Thank you. Budget timeline. So a little bit more to go. So we've been working through this. We've got through presentation 1, 2, and 3. So we're done here after tonight. There's no action for you to take tonight, but we will advertise for 2 weeks that we have a public hearing that will happen on August 12th. That night, you will actually see the full budget completed in the form that the state has accepted and approved, and you will hear about that and then approve there. And then just for your information, we do have a deadline. We don't want to go push up on that deadline, but first class district has until really the end of August. So our last opportunity to adopt a budget would be August 27th. So we do have that built in if needed. So anyway, we've had a little bit of a discussion, but I do want to open it up. All said and done, is there anything else that the board would like to ask about or share?
I just wanted to clarify for the board, your role in this process is to approve expenditure authority. So basically giving us permission to spend the revenue that we get. I also just want to make really clear that within the revenue that Joey pointed out, there is what would be equivalent to what we typically receive in federal funds. So some outside chance we actually receive them, it would give us the authority to spend them. So when you see the number of, where's total revenue?
It's down at the revenues here.
That 339 million, it's not, that includes about $4 million of federal funds that we're currently not getting. So it's actually not $339 million, it's $335 million. But by including the federal funds, should we get them, we would proactively have permission from you to spend them. So I just wanted to be really clear about that. It's a bit wonky in this budget because of where we are at those federal funds. So just wanted to be clear about that.
Got really good way to put it. Yep.
Joey?
Good job. Thanks. Yeah, and the other reason is we actually technically have not officially been notified in writing officially that you're not getting them. The only thing official I have is the tools that tell me how to estimate what's coming in. But when the state superintendent of public instruction calls a meeting and all the superintendent business managers are on and he says you're not getting this, I believe him. He wouldn't do that if it wasn't true, so we're bracing ourselves for that. But as you know, things ebb and flow. We don't know what's going to happen, so the capacity's there. We're not at danger of spending it if we don't get it. It won't be something that can be spent if it's not there to spend. So, good. All right. Get to the end there. If you have any questions, want to come visit, nerd out about this stuff, I've had one or two of you do that already. Just go ahead and reach out, and I'm happy to meet with you. So, thank you.
I love the choice of artwork. I hope we have some magicians out there that can really help us get back on track.
Yes.
So I think it's putting great positive energy out there.
Thank you.
Director Phillips, I was remiss in pointing out, this is our theme for this year. This is me at PSD, focused on what is the movie, Greatest Showman? So this is actually artwork from one of our students, so thank you for pointing that out this evening.
This evening, we have heard reports on our new student board reps, our Wasta School Board of the Year application, and the 2025-2026 budget presentation. Is there anyone who would like to give public comment to the board about any of these reports that is present here in the boardroom?
Good evening, School Board. Michelle Andrews, Franklin County, City of Pasco. I want to go back to that $7 million and encourage you to break that out further for the taxpayer to see what's actually being spent in those operating funds by more specific categories. I have had past experience being an life insurance salesperson, and encourage you to look at being self-insured, because I think it would save the district a lot of money and still provide very good benefits and bring people working together to value those benefits as a group rather than Blue Cross Blue Shield or whatever company you want to fill in, and just keep using insurance. An example would be a lady goes to her OBGYN for a cold because she has a relationship, which is a much higher expense, rather than go to her GP. And so you start having direct influence on one another, spending that pool of funds to keep your costs down. With regard to some of these, is it done?
No, it's not read.
Okay, all right. These funds, I am still concerned about losing these funds over some of the issues that I've talked to you about before at the Title IX. I would ask that the board once again consider at least putting forth policy, and I have confidence in you on what you are planning to do so you can poise yourself and distinguish yourself. I sent the resolution, the letter, and the Big Five letter. I think the community has spoken through other representation very clearly, and we really would like to hear what your plans are and what your policies are. To be fair to every student, to show respect to every student. You've done well in the past, and you're definitely a positive school district. But this is one of the issues that's going to affect that budget. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that's present in the boardroom that would like to offer public comments? Mr. Garrett, do we have anyone online? Thank you. Next, future agenda item, Superintendent Whitney.
So our next board meeting is August 12th. We will have a study session focused on levy planning. Our friends from Piper Sandler and Foster Garvey, Tara Carlson and Lee Marquisio respectively, will be here to help us. So kind of a collaborative presentation from both the district team and that team to help give the board some context for how we have planned in the past for the levy, how that strategy will need to change based on our current context, and then build out some scenarios for what the levy would look like in the face of our current financial situation. So a really critical study session for us. Our goal is to have you as board members approve the resolution for the levy by November, that first meeting in November, which I believe is on Wednesday, the 12th, because Tuesday is a holiday, so the meeting is actually on Wednesday. Because the intention then is to run the election in February of 2026. So, we have some critical decisions to be made around the levy in a fairly short runway. During the board meeting, we'll be discussing, annually, you as a board have to approve the goals for my evaluation prior to the first day of school. You identified those through a process with Thomas Alsbury last year, I believe in the spring, maybe in April. So those are ready to go. I'll just bring them before you, present them to you, and then they'll be on the consent agenda on the meeting at the end of August, meeting that requirement. Anna Tensmeyer will be in front of you doing an update around our community engagement strategies for our community, and we'll be, again, launching ambassadors. There's a new opportunity called HOPE We'll talk about peak and then give talk about how the community can sign up for our Parent Square notifications. And then we're going to continue our new focus on celebrating student achievement. We again have had schools honored and celebrated by the State Board of Education for growth and closing the achievement gap, including McLaughlin, Three Rivers, Franklin, and Edwin Markham. And then action item would be the budget adoption and public hearing process. So fairly board meeting on the first board meeting in August.
And then as discussed in our study session, we'll be electing our legislative representative as well. So student board reps, this is a time where Superintendent Whitney goes over the items that will be on our next board agenda, but board members can also propose upcoming agenda items because they are planned out in advance and because we try to keep board meetings to a decent time interval and not be here all night. It might not be discussed at the next board meeting, but they'll be put on the agenda. And so this is a time where I ask, if there is any suggestions or if there's a board member would like to have an agenda item, and it needs to have the consent of at least 3 of us in order to be put on the future agenda, so that the majority of the board, what we call a quorum, needs to approve of that. So is there any, would any board members like to propose future agenda items at this time? Okay. So student board reps, this next item on the agenda is communications. This is where each board member has the opportunity to communicate about what they have been doing in the community, what they have been doing in their lives that relates to the board, anything really that relates to your board. So this is like your student activities. Student reps have talked about the sports and their concerts and their performances, as well as activities they participate in, extracurricular activities. But it is your time to communicate with the public. You are not required. If you do not want to speak, you simply can pass or just say, I have nothing to share this evening. But we always start at the end of the dais with Dr. Norberg, and then we work our way down to Superintendent Whitney. So again, if you do not wish to say anything, and your comments can simply be, I'm really excited to be on the board. This is your time to communicate anything that you want to say to the public. So we will start with Dr. Norberg.
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, I met with Dr. Joseph Castilla, and I just think it's important that we spend time, and I encourage the other board members that haven't to go visit with him and just get a better feel for the budget and where we're at right now. I just personally believe that we've got to, especially since we've just lost $4 million, to take a hard look. It's not what I want to do. I'd rather not have to look at this, but it's one of those responsibilities that we have to really look at this and say, we're going to have to take this bull by the horns and deal with it. And so I just encourage you we really got to start planning for next year. Everything's pretty well set for this year. We've been locked in on a lot of our costs and items, so we really got to start thinking about the future years and where we're at. And so I just encourage you to spend time on this issue, because it's going to be something that's going to be with us for a while.
So I wasn't able to attend the last board meeting, and we were at a family reunion, and so I'm going to go back a little bit further in history, but I was able to be on the panel that appointed these 4 student board reps. By far the most we ever interviewed were this last year. We had 30 different interviews. Each interview takes about 30 minutes. And what I was impressed with was every principal of all 4 of those high schools. A lot of times we'll have a representative from the high school, a vice principal, but we had the principals from every one of those schools. And that was really impressive to me. I think there was a power in the selection process that came from having those principals there in that room. So that was really fun to be a part of, but it was also really fun to be a part of these students. There were so many kids that could have been on this board. It was a very competitive bunch. We have really been blessed by our student board reps and what they bring to the table. And when I started on the board, there were only 2 student board reps. And quickly thereafter, we appointed 3, and now there's 4, which is pretty impressive. But I know these students are going to do great work. So we have a lot of faith in you, and I have faith in the district. I know this is a little scary time with this budget process, but I really think we have a good team behind us, and I really do think that buckling down and getting there, we are going to get ourselves into a really positive financial situation. It's been the practice of the board that's had these reserves in place that has made it so we can still function even with these cuts. So I know that past work was fruitful, and the work we're doing now is going to be fruitful, and we are going to get to a place where that's really positive, and we have a really good, strong fund balance again.
I would like to welcome our 4 student representatives, and I look forward to working with you, the 4 of you, this next academic year, and welcome to the board.
I'm just really honored and excited that I get to have this opportunity to be on the board, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to work with everybody and do my part and make sure that we do the best we can.
I'm just truly honored to be on here on this board. I think that everything I do, all my actions, everything I say, I want it to be very impactful to all of our students. Every single member of our community I want them to feel heard, and I want them to feel like they have a part in this. So I'm just here to be that voice for the students, to be that voice for their community members, just because every number that's on here on these papers, on these packets, I think that there's a person behind that number. So keeping that in mind, just knowing that I'm here to support and to represent every single student and community member here in Pasco School District. So thank you.
I just want to say I'm really thankful for being in the position that I am today. From what I've heard, it was a really competitive year, and I'm just really thankful. And I hope that I make the choice worth it in choosing me to be on the board. I really hope I can represent the people that I'm set to represent. And yeah, I'm just really, really thankful and honored to be here. And for my extracurriculars, I'm actually preparing for fall cross-country season recently, so just been running and getting my miles in.
I am truly grateful for being part of this opportunity. I hope my skills can develop over time working with other people around me, and especially with the other fellow student reps too. And I want to thank for working with the Sageview principal, Raquel. It's going to be truly an honor to represent the Sageview students and create a bright future for all the students and the upcoming students for Sageview. And I'm honestly, Pasco students are the future of Pasco, and we're going to make very good, awesome decisions. And again, I am very grateful to be part of this decision and working with all of you guys. Thank you.
So I just want to say welcome again to the board, and it was great to be able to spend a little bit of time prior to the meeting to getting to, since we normally have a little dinner before the meeting that we kind of get together and spend time getting to know each other, and it just so happens that the place that we chose happened to catch on fire, so we had a little more time to get to know these board. It worked out perfectly, and I appreciate walking in that room and seeing the talent and the different unique lives that you all share, and it's going to your talents are going to be welcome and very used on the board, and you have a great opportunity to learn. So I just encourage you to take that opportunity and as much as you can, take advantage of that. And I just wanted to also kind of echo Director Phillips. I think we are in a difficult situation, and we like to talk positive about it, and I think it's good. And I think as this district and is Pasco, I think we are the best situated that we probably could be to weather it. And I appreciate the effort that the district has made, the administration has made, to be very open and transparent about what we're doing, and for the presentations that we've been given. And I'm glad that that the board in the past has set up a reserve, and that was their focus and their goal. I also think that we are doing our best to ensure that what is being spent is also being done in a very transparent and fiscally responsible manner. I do have some reservations that it feels to me like sometimes we're kind of walking on a tightrope that could just slip out from underneath us with how we have to manage this next year. But that might just be me, and I think we are in the best situation, or we have the best plans in place that we can to weather through it. So that's all I had. Thank you, and welcome.
I think that the committees that chose our student board reps this year did an amazing job. I'm already very impressed and look forward to working with you for this next year. I had the opportunity to speak at a town hall. The Attorney General of Washington State was here giving a town hall, and I was invited to speak on the state of education. And so I spoke at that town hall and talked about the federal cuts to education. It's a difficult time to be in education, and I talked to Superintendent Whitney in between board meetings, and I asked her, how is everyone doing? Because I know as a teacher, it's a little scary, especially a teacher who depends on the funds for English language learning education and migrant education as a dual language teacher. And those cuts are going to affect my classroom. And so, but I was it's hard to say that I was very impressed, and I am always impressed by the staff here, but it's just such a difficult situation to be in. But I was just impressed that Superintendent Whitney said, morale is not down. Our morale is still good. Everyone's working on it, and we knew that this might happen, and so we had plans in effect already. And so knowing that that the district had planned ahead for these contingencies in this difficult times made it, and it didn't make it easier. It's still such a difficult time, but I just am edified by knowing that we are in a district that is constantly planning and thinking about contingencies. So with that, it was the first time this evening at a board meeting where I was recognized as Kai's mom. So I feel popular because I'm Kai's mom. Everyone knew me as the new student board reps, and so I am proud to be a mom of a Pasco student, and looking forward to having a successful year. It's been a good summer so far, and not a lot going on with the board because it is the summer, but it won't be too long before school starts again.
Thank you, Board President Brown. I think disappointed but not demoralized. How about that? That's how we're doing around here.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did want to get on your calendars early that on August 18th and 19th will be the ribbon cuttings for Sageview and Orion respectively. Both events start at 10 o'clock, and just really encourage you to get those on your calendars now. There truly marks a really historic milestone for our district, and we look forward to celebrating with you, with our new student board reps, and really truly with the broader community who doubled down on their investment on our students by supporting the bond in 2023. So I just wanted you to get those on your calendars now.
Can I add one thing? Because I totally forgot. I was so excited to learn that if you've ever heard of the book Anxious Generation, Amazon just gave us a grant. And with part of that money on the grant, we are going to get some books and have a community book club on the anxious generation. It is a fabulous book that talks about the effects of screen time and social media on our students and what we can do to overcome some of those negative effects. Fantastic. Thank you, Amazon, for helping out there. They gave us a grant that's going to go towards several things, one being the baseball fields at Ochoa, and then this anxious generation. So there's good things happening with that money. So there are little positive things and positive impacts coming in from different places. And thank you, Mrs. Tensmeyer, for writing that, and your staff. I'm sure that helped, so appreciate that. Another thing, too, Team Pasco sold their house really quickly this year. Team Pasco is incredible, and one of the vendors made an incredible video on the impact that Team Pasco has had on our community. And once again, just something to celebrate in Pasco because of this not college, CTAE pathways that have helped our kids really to grow and develop and become a part of Pasco. I'm on the board for Team Pasco, and there's a couple of people now on the board that used to be a part, were in the class, now work in the construction energy industry, and are now back on the board for this Team Pasco, where we build this house every year in Pasco. And it will include Sageview this year, Sageview Pasco High School, and Chihuahua High School, as these kids come together and build a house every year and sell it. So lots of celebrations. If you get to see that video, it really is incredible.
Board President Brown, district staff is requesting an executive session under 4231-10-1G for reviewing the performance of a public employee. We're expecting it to take no longer than 30 minutes, and Assistant Superintendent Thornton will be attending.
Thank you, Superintendent Whitney. With that, we will adjourn into executive session.